Hey guys, this is What If David Was a Speedster Part 2. Now after this video, I am going to be recording What If Deku Was the Lizard Part 2 reboot later today. And also, this weekend, you are going to get some stuff from me, Also, the What If Bell was Superman or had Kryptonian powers is going to be coming this weekend instead of tomorrow, aka today, because I posted that thing on my commentary yesterday. So today's tomorrow, but it's still like that. So basically, this is What If David from Cyberpunk was a speedster, and I really hope you guys enjoy this little continuation of the series. And let's just dive right into this. I start off a story with him, or pretty much David going back to school the next day, or going back to school the next day after his incident at the hospital of him getting the powers of a speedster plus a boost with pretty much the chrome. Pretty simple. We're gonna get into more of the biological terms and how he got connected to the Speed Force and what really happened with the power that was, or the tech that was lost when the chrome that he had was charted to a little piece of crisp when he first got it. So we see that, he goes back to school and he confronts the kid that beat him up earlier, as he punches him with maximum ferocity and just throws the meanest left hook in his face as he punches him at incredible speeds. As people don't really realize this, but one of the lackeys realized, like a quick second, a glimpse, he realized lightning sparked off of David's hand. If David would have shown off his body, as he would have looked at him saying, it's time to get up, chump. I'm not chrome, but I will beat the crap out of you. As basically, David doesn't really know what's going on with him. The thing that gave him, or the thing that made him originally David, that gave him that speed before in the original canon, was gone. But somehow it was transferred not genetically, but biologically, aka organically, to his body. He didn't have to rely on his body not being able to handle the speed. He didn't have to rely on drugs or anything of the sort. He had the power of the Speed Force, but at this point he wasn't as capable with the Speed Force as people like Kid Flash, Wally West, and Impulse and Barry Allen. He wasn't as experienced as those speedsters, and he just got his speed a couple hours ago. As basically he has realized the basis of how he can just move really fast and how he can run miles and city blocks in a matter of seconds. As he gets into a fighting stance with this dude, as the dude uses his cyber tech to try to punch him, and basically doing all these trick attacks and stuff by just fake punching him. As David sees all these punches before they even come, as we get shown that David's whole body is coursing with electricity instead of an impulse of pretty much technology. As his whole body is coursing through the Speed Force, and his body is pulsating with its energy, as his eyes glow up bright yellow, as Bell basically dodges out the way as fast as possible. As you see that his lightning is a lot more yellowish and a lot more of a brighter type of neon yellow, other than the Barry Allen or Wally West lightning. As he dodges it with minimal to no effort, as he dodges it so effortlessly, as he walks behind this dude with no effort and punches him dead in his throat. Dead ass in his throat. Not his cheek, his throat. As he's pushed into a freaking wall and bodied in a matter of minutes. As he is a little shocked by this because he's never punched somebody or had physical contact with somebody using his Speed Force. And it kind of overlapped his body. And his clothes are kind of charred a little bit. As the kid on the floor, the rich kid, is sobbing and crying with his nose being broken and shit. As David walks off being confident in himself. As he has no blood on his body or anything like that. But he does start to pass out a little bit, feeling kind of, tired and tuckered out. So he did super speed towards basically, let's just say, school. Yeah, he just super speed to his school. As he laughs and he super speeds back to his house, getting the dryer open and just chilling in his living room. As he lays down there being tuckered out as hell and basically passing out and goes to sleep and falls asleep for hours. As we see that this whole thing happens as well, you're shown on video camera that somebody picks up David's powers as he speeds past the rich kid and punches him dead in his face. As this happens in a matter of seconds, and it's not even like slow down, like it's literally a blur. They can't even see how he moved. It's just a blur. He moved for a second, like he flickered, and then the guy was across the room. But it's simple. They couldn't even recognize his speed because he was a lot faster than original David since he had the Speed Force. But I'm not gonna make him super OP and give him every single power Flash and Barry Allen and Impulse have achieved throughout the years, and also throughout the powers the Speed Force can give you. She's gonna have that base ability, and he's just gonna be using his Speed Force like any other speedster, just building it up. But since his body isn't as built as Barry Allen or Impulse or Kid Flash, since Impulse was born with his powers, he was basically made for them. And but Wally West was given his powers and he trained for them, building up his body. As the Speed Force did give David a better type of buck, giving him a six-pack and making him a little bit more, I guess, leaner, but didn't give him that muscle growth. Just gave him a more durable body for basically running. He was basically just better at running, to be simple. He wasn't really good at fighting anymore. He wasn't built to fight, to be simple. He was only good for long time running. Kind of like built like a Olympic athlete type of build. As David would have took a shower later that night, as he would have passed out, as David would have been just chilling, as David would have been tuckered out, and him still being really hungry, as it's him being super hungry, as he walks out the middle of the night, as he speeds through the city, not really taking time to slow down for anybody. As he speeds through the city, going left, right, through the city, through the alleyways and upside building sides, and everything of the sort, as he starts to run, eventually coming across a diner type area, as he's more or less accustomed to the old type of diners. As well, he starts to feel the, well, I guess, impact of him losing his mother throughout the whole day. As David takes it a little bit slow when he gets on top of a bus. As David's eating a sandwich, about 15 sandwiches, them all being in his pretty much jacket pockets, as he's super hungry for some reason, because his metabolism is incredibly boosted up and sped up because he has that super endurance and that superhuman speed with the Speed Force. As he has all the limitations that Flash has because of the whole, high metabolism and everything like that. As Bell starts to feel that his jacket is kind of wearing out, since, well, he technically did, use this type of superhuman speed, and it's kind of going against his clothing, but not too much because of the fact of the super speed. As David notices a girl or some sort of woman stealing chips from people's nicks, as pretty much David is realizing this, looking around, being kind of confused with what's going on, as he realizes that his got snatched. As David runs over there, grabbing it straight out of the woman's hand before she can even get it in her hand. So he literally doesn't even grab her wrist this time. He just takes it out of her hand, or grabs it in mid-air before she can even grab it. As she says, "What's your angle, kid? What you trying to do?" As he says, "What angle? I just want to get my stuff back." As she says, "What? We're messing up my gig here, man." Basically he would have gone, really? Oh, I can't believe that. You're a petty thief? Ugh. And as David has the same personality, but a little bit more of a impulse type of cockiness now. As he talks to her, and he more or less gloats to her. As he nervously gasps as she starts to examine his body or some shit. As she rips off his jacket and looks dead at him in the mirror. As she looks like, "Oh, what the hell? How could you stop me? You have no cyber tech in your body. Nothing." As she looks closer and closer, as it's some sort of abnormal type of electricity going through his body that isn't normal for people that don't have any type of chrome or anything of the sort in their body. As she is kind of interested in this and looks up his ID at his high school, saying that you don't look like the type to be doing this type of stuff. As he says, "Well, I dropped out." She said, "Oh, too bad." As she talks a little bit, as her conversation goes somewhere the same way, as she uses some sort of lace or something around his neck. As David is kind of confused that he even knows that, depending on, he's feel a little bit cocky because now he's incredibly fast and he's been able to pass by buildings, and he hasn't, exactly figured out how to run upside buildings yet, but only to short blitz and run across city blocks and stuff like that. As he starts to talk to this woman, as they start to go down the pretty much trainway, as she eventually starts to talk to him, as she gives him a job offer, and he takes it. As David takes it and goes around the bus, basically grabbing city cars and also pretty much chips out of people's head, as he uses it in a matter of a second faster than original, as he runs across the whole entire pretty much bus, grabbing everybody's chip in a matter of seconds, as he's basically way faster than original, pretty much David. As David takes literally everybody's chip in here, and even it takes everybody's. He was only supposed to take out one person's chip, but he took out everybody on the bus sides, taking the guy that he was supposed to get the chip from originally in his left pocket, the others in his right pocket. As David would have impressed this lady very much, Lucy. Lucy would have said, well, interesting. As she would have looked closer and closer, trying to figure out how the hell this kid doing all this without any type of cyber tech or any type of chrome or anything in his body. He's completely organic, completely normal, like a normal kid, just with the normal tech stuff you need to survive and need to transfer money in this world. As he literally has 0 to none to no cyber tech or chrome in his body at all, as he's normal. And the way he could do these things, run around at supersonic speeds, grab things before people can even realize them, move faster than Lucy can even recognize him. More or less, he is a abnormality to her. She's very much interested even more in him, trying to figure out what makes him tick. As we see this happen, as David, basically gets stopped by some sort of random ass dude, or basically bumps into this random ass dude that has a big ass armor stuff shit, as he grabs his chip too, basically getting it pretty fast. As Lucy says, nice, you did pretty good, now you gotta go. As they come out pretty much they come out of the whole bus area, as they talk and everything, as he's given his cut of 20%. As we get switched to David passing out, as David did overuse his powers, and he passed out sense of starvation and basically his, pretty much body not being used to this newfound speed, and also basically him not being built for the speed force like other speedsters are. To make this more interesting, he's not going to be as built or as naturally gifted to handle the speed force like other speedsters are, like Barry Allen, Wally West, and Impulse are. As one of the nurses would have said that, it's surprising, the kid just needs food. He's just really, really tuckered out, as his body isn't really used to anything you're putting him through or what he was doing today. As we realize the woman takes out a gun before they can even go to the hospital, they pass by the hospital. As David looks up as the woman takes out a gun and basically says this kid's going to be prone for cyber tech, or basically military chrome. As she looks at her and saying, okay, whatever. As she goes full on psycho mode, grabbing David and then basically jumping off the moving vehicle on the gurney and basically running through the highway. As David looks at her and thinks she's insane. I mean, what the freak? David is crazy. But David looks dead into her eyes and basically is kind of like mesmerized or some bull. Like he's obsessed with it. Like he loves this bitch. As basically David and her stop near a sideway, as David pukes halfway through. As he's unreleased, as he takes off his mask, saying that he's okay. As before this can happen, she doesn't ask about pills or anything, but basically, because he doesn't have any cyber tech or chrome in his body. As he wakes up the next morning, as he looks around, as he's confused on where he's at, as he's at the base of Lucy, as one of the guys look at him saying, so this little kid, what do you want for it, sweetheart? As basically she gets her cut of the money and leaves there basically talking to David, as David's given some food and takes a lot of food from the dude, as the dude's kind of pissed off as David's eating this much but just lets it slide. As David sits down on the sidewalk and talking to Lucy, as basically he says, you got a lot of power, a lot of potential, and it's kind of confusing. Like, what are you, and how are you doing these things without any type of cyber tech or any type of chrome in your body? As basically, well, David is confused on this himself, and he just says, I don't know, but I'm gonna embrace it. I don't know what happened, don't know how it happened, but I don't want to question it for now. As he talks to her, and the night ends off pretty smooth, as David has some drinks with her, as David and her talk a little bit, as David's kind of distraught, as out of nowhere, her goonies or lackeys show up. And basically, what happens that night, something is about to happen. So in a little bit, I don't know, something. After they have that whole like snow mountain type moment, talking and stuff like that, as we see David wake up getting punched on the ground by some thugs of, well, part of Lucy's crew, as they're about to beat him up. As well, basically David moves out the way as quick as possible, running through the dude and also running past everybody out of the building and all the way to the top of the roof. As David looks around, as the pink-haired, ponytailed little girl takes out a gun and shoots David in the leg, as David falls down on the ground and he gets knocked out. As the girl did prep for this, or they did a little prep, because they did say that this kid was fast and he probably would have tried to run away. So basically they took David, and bada bing bada boom, I'm gonna leave it out here, guys. So part 3 will be a lot more action packed, and David will actually start to figure out what really happened to him and how he has these powers in part 4, or by the end of part 3. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys like it, subscribe, and as always, guys, have a blessed day. Deuces.